This is where the fun begins.
Did you miss me?
Are you sure? So be it.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Thursday morning CAF chat. I hope you guys are doing great today, whether it's morning for you or not. It is morning for me, and I am so happy to be here with you guys as well. And first of all, what's in your mug? What are you enjoying this morning, this evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you? And if you are new here, please subscribe, hit the like button as well, everybody who's joining us, and let your social media platforms, all of them that you're on, know that we are live here today. So thank you guys again for coming in, and good morning, good morning, good morning. So it's been a great morning for me. Excited to continue on a Star Wars Appreciation Month. Basically, May is the month of Star Wars for me, because that's when Star Wars was introduced to us by George Lucas and stuff. So this first week, I went ahead and had us recognize A New Hope and are basically Star Wars. So we are at the end of that. And so this is what we're going to talk about mainly is lore and stuff pertaining to A New Hope. Maybe we'll get a little bit into the EU as well. And then starting tomorrow through the 18th. So the next CAF chat, it'll be about Empire Strikes Back. And then following that, May 19th to the 25th will be Return of the Jedi, all lore pertaining to that, even behind the scenes stuff. I didn't share much behind the scenes with Star Wars A New Hope on Twitter like I wanted to. But so behind the scenes, a little bit about development, all of that. And then the last week of May will be about George Lucas, Expanded Universe, and of course the PT. You can't forget about the PT. And then I do plan on having a special live stream coming up. I have to get that scheduled here pretty quick so that I can announce it to you guys regarding Star Wars in general. So thank you guys for tuning in. And A New Hope. So what does that mean to you? A New Hope. After George decided to do the episodic numbering of the series or of the trilogy. I had shared the date a while back, about almost a year ago, when he decided to do the episodic. And that was shortly after, I think, Empire Strikes Back. So we'll talk about that more later as we go along this month. But what does that mean to you from Star Wars, being called Star Wars, to A New Hope? And what does A New Hope mean to you guys in general? So think about that. I'll put that in the chat. I don't have any polls for you guys to vote on. What does A New Hope mean to you? Let's see if we all have our stories, our origin stories of how we got into Star Wars. And I'm going to put this here. I'm going to change that up. How we got into Star Wars, and who got us into Star Wars, whether it was our mom, our dad, our aunt, our uncle, grandmother, grandfather, or whatever. So we all have that origin story. And some of us, are old enough to say I began with the OT, and some of us are younger to say I started with the PTs. But what does A New Hope mean to you? What does A New Hope mean to you? So I'm going to go ahead and leave that there, and I'll get to the comments there. And I'll also say hello to everybody dropping in. So we have Holocron, Library Fox. Good morning, Alora. And hail to the chat. Well, good morning to you. Cheers, cheers, cheers. And of course, I have my delightful Twin Suns mug. I'm always quizzing you guys on stuff. Where does this squadron come from? When did it originate? So another question. So what does A New Hope mean to you? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like movie, like like A New Hope, because it could also be a memory of how you felt afterwards. It could be a scene in the movie, whatever that is for you. Share with me. So, what does A New Hope mean to you? Iron Inquisitor, good morning to you. Made it today for this week's stream. Missed the last two because of being busy running errands with the grandma. Hey, well, you got to do what you got to do. My grandmother raised me, so I understand how that is. And the Sentinel's here. Hello there. How are you doing? Zagarat 315. Howdy, y'all. Howdy to you. Howdy to you. Batu3. Morning. And then Iron Krister's like black coffee as usual. So you like it strong and black. Laugh out. Who called you that? I don't know what that was about. Nice shirt, Laura. Are you thinking about my my screen name here? Know It All Snob. There's a little story behind that one, and I wear it pridefully, pridefully, I guess you could say. Maybe, I don't know. Zagrat, nice shirt, Laura. Yes. Okay, so here you guys go. In memory, might as well stand up. I got my leggings on. So yeah, but in memory of Star Wars: A New Hope, here you go. The Death Star, of course, Luke, Han, Leia, Vader, of course. Yeah, so there you go. So in memory today, I like my blanket because it feels good on the lap. So yeah, so there we go. Star Wars: A New Hope. And then MB Geek Bar and Grill. Hello, how are you doing? And then Bingo Fett. Hey, hello, Bingo Fett. I like that, Bingo Fett. And then Zagrat says, coffee with cream. Nice. Mine is just coffee with a little bit of sweetener. It's black, no cream in there today. The Sentinel says, I got my Red Line Extreme on my right hand and my 7-Eleven Coca-Cola Slippery on the left. Oh my God, talk about sugar intake. Holy crap. Well, enjoy. Enjoy. You're ready. You're like amped up. And then Matt G with his coffee there. Hello, Matt G. MB Geek says, this is one of the drawbacks. Wish we could have got more stories between OG movies. Yeah, there's a list, but it's not as an extensive. There's, I believe a lot more comics in between than there are novels. I'm going to take a look, see if I still have the list here. I usually keep the timeline on my phone so I can revert back to it. Yes, I do. And I've been posting, and I forgot to do it yesterday. It's saved on my computer. I forgot to post it, but I've been posting novel and other type of productions that came out under George Lucas. Like for today, I'll post one today and stuff. So stay tuned for that. Let me see here. I thought I had it and it disappeared. But anyways, yeah, there are more comics, I believe, in between the movies than there are novels. Yeah. Let me see here. And then, of course, the question here, one more time for those who are dropping in. We have 11 beautiful souls here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, please hit that like button. And the Sentinel, watching the OG Star Wars in a vacuum for me was fun, but the PT and the EU actually made it so much fun, more fun for me. That's really interesting because there's a lot that, not a lot, but there are people that got further into the EU because they wanted to know what happened with Luke Skywalker or the big three or what have you, or continued the story and delved into it that way. And we know we all have our own opinions on what we like, what we don't like, all of that. And that's just a given. That's just a given. So there might be something I may like that the set and I'll be like, what the hell? I really didn't care for that storyline or that story or whatever. And that's fine. Or even we have all different preference of authors. New Hope could have been a standalone movie if they never made Empire. And that's the thing. George Lucas was afraid of how people were going to perceive this space opera, basically, because that's what he was calling. That's what he called it, space opera, right? So he put all his time, his money, his efforts. I mean, this was a huge gamble for George Lucas. And I can't wait to get the panel together that I'm creating for the end of the month where we can get more into that. And as we go along with each week of appreciation for, the movies and leading into George Lucas PT and the expanded universe, this was a huge gamble for him. And he wanted to do the sequel. He had this vision. He had his basically story notes already, written out. It wasn't extensive. If you did research, he had story notes. And from there, they evolved into what him and the script writers came up with. And it's interesting because he had the novel Splinters of the Mind Eye written in case Star Wars wasn't well received. But because it was, he took the gamble to further continue on with the story. And it's this man's independent thinking of not wanting to conform to Hollywood and wanting to tell his story without people telling him what to do. Like, Hollywood saying you need to write this way, that way, you need to produce this is not going to be good, so we need you to go this way. All of that. Being a creator myself with art and everything, what you see from me is what you get is what you see from me, what's in my mind's eye, I guess you could say, and how I want to see and perceive the art that I'm sharing with you guys. Are you guys going to all agree with or the taste I have? Probably not. And that's the risk George took, but he wanted that independence. And because of that, he was successful with Star Wars, A New Hope. And because of that, then he didn't have to rely on the novel, Splinters of the Mind's Eye, which we are segueing into Empire Strikes Back as well. So, yeah. OG Star Wars. A New Hope means that there is in fact a new hope. It's pure optimism in spite of everything dark and black. It's our introduction to Luke, one of the aspirational heroes of all time. Correct. So we see how aspirational he is, how unique he is, even after Return of the Jedi. Now, I'm not trying to jump ahead or anything, but when we're speaking about a certain character, how aspiring he is, even in the face of adversity, failing, or making mistakes, I guess you can say, it gives the watchers who are going into this escapism, right? It gives them a sense of hope, knowing that knowing that they can take this virtue and learn from it, knowing that they can make these mistakes and grow from them, doesn't mean that they have to be stuck in the failure either. Which Disney Star Wars is making it sound like you are stuck in your failures and not you're going to be always a failure and you're always going to be stagnant, which goes against A New Hope. It goes against the OT. It goes against the PT. The PT is different because it is more of like a Greek tragedy. It's the fall and rise of Darth Vader. So the fall of Anakin, the rise of Darth Vader. Just a bit too young to have seen the OT in the theater. I grew up with it right after it was on TV or VHS. And that's the thing. That's the point I made this last week or so with watching, like a person's experience watching Star Wars, like Return of the Jedi, since that's the movie that came out in theaters just recently that people have been going to see. It's not about where you see it. It's about who you see it with and the experience that you feel. So for me, I seen A New Hope or Star Wars at the time at home on VHS. My family got it for me. My family, mainly women. So you can't go back to that narrative that Disney tried to set that women weren't included in this franchise, right? Because majority of the women people I grew up with, my grandma, my aunt, and all my cousins stuff, we are a house full of mostly women. They like Star Trek. They like Star Wars. I ended up on the end of Star Wars, where some of them, like my grandmother and stuff, ended on the end of Star Trek. So I seen A New Hope or Star Wars on VHS at home. And then we went to the drive-in theaters to go watch Empire Strikes Back. So that was my experience. My experience, it wasn't going in the theater. My experience was being put on TV, watching it through VHS in the evening before we were going to go to watch Empire Strikes Back, so that we understood what was going on. And to me, that was amazing as well. And having it sitting around with my cousins, my aunt and all them, my grandma watching it before going to the drive-ins to watch Empire Strikes Back, it was like we were on the edge of our seat. We were fascinated by it. I mean, I was so young, but I still remember. So, the level of enthusiasm was more like, wow, this is pretty cool. I've never seen something spacey like that. Well, in this context versus Star Trek. And I was excited to go to the drive-in theaters. And so, like I said, it's not necessarily about where you see it. It's who you see it with and how you feel. You could see it at home on a big screen in your room for the first time, which is what I did with my own kids. They were introduced to the OT at home, so, and they have fond memories. And so that's the point I've been making as of lately is it's not exactly where you see it. And I'll always hold this in my heart, is that if you're not happy with the direction the current owners are going with the franchise, stop giving them money. So, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I used to have Return of the Jedi shirt with just the lightsaber back in 2004. Yes, I have that hanging up on my wall. I don't know if you guys could see. It's kind of dark in here. I don't have my regular lights on, but yeah, I have that up there. Let's see here. I got it at an awesome shirt store in Berkeley. Pretty cool. Okay, let's see here. When the whole galaxy is poised against what's right and tells you to fall in line, it's the duty of any honest being to stand and say no. That's a pretty good, interesting thing. And that's a lesson that we could take into real life. When we're facing adversity that we know isn't right, that we know morally isn't right and stuff, yeah, let's stand up and say no. Let's see. Soul Assassin. Hey, what's up, Soul? Hey, everyone, please hit the like button and share the stream out. Welcome, Soul Assassin. We have an assassin in the chat. All right. Yeah, so if you're just tuning in, what does A New Hope mean to you? And I'm getting through everybody's comments right now because I wanted to specifically talk about A New Hope. We're wrapping up the New Hope Appreciation Week, and we are now segueing in towards Empire Strikes Back. So I'm excited for that. The Sentinel, people criticizing the prequels because they feel like Obi-Wan lied to Luke in A New Hope, never saw Return of the Jedi. Obi-Wan is one of the greatest Jedi ever, but he does have flaws. He will bend the truth. Yeah, so bending the truth is a type of lie, but you have to really, like, they tell Luke that he wasn't ready for that truth, that they needed to prepare him for the task at hand, train him, and all that. So, there's that big debate. So, hello, Matt, Zachrat, Hail Sentinel. I love it when you guys talk back and forth with each other. The Sentinel says, now having the backstory, I got chills when the duel between Obi-Wan and Vader ends. Obi-Wan looks at Vader. Obi-Wan looks at Vader. Sorry, I know what you meant. Smiles at Vader and surrenders himself to the Force. And now and know now what he's thinking in that. Yeah, so you get that context even further after even watching Empire Strikes, or not Empire, sorry, Revenge of the Sith. Anonymous Gamer, hello. Personally started with the OT Special Edition re-release on VHS, and later on with the PT on those ancient devices called DVD players. Oh wow, me, I had the very ancient ones, the VHS players. And then you guys, it's funny, I was talking about the evolution of media players, whether it's for music or not or whatever. And it's so funny because like my dad's age and them, they had the 8-track. They had the 8-track. And then when I was little, the CD started coming out, but we had tapes. So the 8-track to tapes to CD players, and now on to like DVD players and so far. Now we're just into total digital, where you could just go on Spotify or whatever, download your music on whatever app you have or whatever phone and app you have for your phone, and there, boom, your music's there. So what an evolution of media players. Now it's like you can even do on-demand stuff. If you're subscribing to a platform to watch different movies, or if you're smart enough, and I recommend this, buy all the classics. Keep up with your DVD player. Keep all the classics, because you never know where they're going to reboot them or they're going to remake them into something different. So buy all the classics, keep them on hand, enjoy them. Soul Assassin says, earliest memory I have of A New Hope was watching it at my grandfather's house while everyone else was outside. Y'all remember the gold case VH? Yeah. Oh yes, I have that. I have the gold case. I have that one. Let's see here. And obviously Star Wars was popular. Anyone who denies that is lying or ignorant. And hello, Gordon, good brother. How are you doing? Pato says, I first saw A New Hope on my 9th birthday. It was a weekend, so that Friday night I watched it and was enthralled. At first time seeing it in full, not just TV clips, I couldn't stop being excited. Wow. So what does A New Hope mean to you? You guys, what does A New Hope? So movie-wise, thought-wise, like how you felt when you first watch it. Again, like I said, the name Star Wars then was extended to A New Hope and turned into an episodic number 2 as well. And we'll get more into that probably next week with Empire Strikes Back. Zach Rat says, my dad recorded on VHS. I watched the hell out of it. Yeah. You remember those days recording VHS and recording your mixtapes too as well? Am I just sharing my age here? Oh my God. Right. An honest trailer for might have as well had the movie titled No New Hope. Oh, geez. No New Hope. And that's for 7. Sorry. I watched the VHS OGs forever until the special edition came out. I'm very young, old school fan. Love the prequels and the Clone Wars multimedia project. I see 1 through 6 as both one story and Star Wars told from George Lucas. There you go. So what does A New Hope mean to you? It says, I love DVD. Finally got to start seeing films in proper widescreen. There you go. 8-track, laugh out loud. Yeah, you understood that. Let's see here. Star Wars radio drama. There we go. Star Wars radio drama. Now, you guys may have seen me post this on Twitter, and I know Open Airlock Policy 2 has spoken about this, especially when there's debate that George didn't like Mara Jade, kind of deal. Basically, for the radio drama of Return of the Jedi, she is in that. So, of course, we knew she was undercover, all of that, but she's in that. If George did not want that to happen, it wouldn't have happened. So, especially when it comes to his movie, whether it's radio drama or whatever, people have to understand that he approves anything, any addition, any characters that's going to affect the story, especially his movies. So, she is a part of G canon. Like, I have to send it to Iron Inquisitor. Sorry, I forgot. But there is a quote saying that the the novels, radio drama, the movies, the novels and radio drama to the movies are G canon. So, but then it's like, when you get into the aspect of the hierarchy of canon, which is a way that they kept all the stories in line and what was more significant than others, is we have stories that are prequels to the movies, novels that are prequels and sequels to the movies, especially when we get into the PT. Even the Shadows of the Empire, I would say, or Truce at Bakura is a sequel to Return of the Jedi. So we have those little gray areas where everything seems to come, interlock with each other or intertwine and creating a seamless story here. So when you look at the aspect of hierarchy of canon, it's like you have all those gray areas there of C blending in with G, G blending in with C kind of deal. And I think it's all fascinating because that was the purpose, is to make sure that everything was just one single history or timeline of history. Let's see here. If you live through the VHS and then got to experience DVD, that was a big jump. Same with DVD to Blu-ray, correct. And 4K doesn't feel like that for some reason. Oh, yeah. I still got all my Star Wars VHS. And that was amazing, seeing that evolution of media quality when we started went from VHS to DVD, and all that. So it was really crazy to see that. And seeing that, witnessing that evolution of media and seeing like the quality of your beloved VHS movies put on DVD, and you're like, wow. It's just like all of a sudden a crystal clear kind of way of looking at it, like literally crystal clear. I still got all my Star Wars VHS DVDs and Blu-rays. Awesome. I like the very first ones we got, like I said, they're no longer with me or with my family. I don't know what happened to them. But I do have some of my other ones that I've got over the years. Batu says, I agree with the stop giving the money thing, OG. That's why I always get the new books through Overdrive library app. Oh, nice. Games through my Game Pass. My sister pays for Disney Plus, not me. Yeah, and that's the thing. So there's people that will, watch to critique these coming movies, but they're not paying for that. They're not paying for the services. So they're basically not giving their money. Me, I like to more or less research, looking at the synopsis of the movie or the story of the show and stuff, or the episode, all of that. Then I like to watch people critique whether they are pro or against Disney Star Wars, like the lore and stuff like that. I like to see both angles. I'm kind of like that. I like to analyze both sides to come to my conclusion as well. Then I also go into the lore, like what are the world building dynamics that George created in his movies that needs to be followed, and are they keeping up with that? Now, if they're pulling EU stuff in, does it make sense to the world that they are building now? Probably not, because when you get into, and I will just say this because it's a quick one that everybody refers to, hyperdrive. When it comes to hyperdrive, it's not the same in the lore, original lore versus Disney. And we all know that scene with Han when they're fleeing Tatooine and he's punching in the coordinates to jump into hyperspace, and Luke's like, let's go, hurry, and he's like, this he's like moving into hyperspace is not like dust and crops or whatever. And I'm not giving that exact quote, but and he explains exactly how hyperdrive or how hyperspace works, basically. Because if you get into the shadow of a gravity well, whether it's a planet or whatever, it can kill you. You can get pulled out. It can basically kill you. And I talked a little bit about this on Dark Council when it came to some of those dynamics. So yeah. Iron Inquisitor says, I still have the VHS. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. I thought I changed it. I thought I had. I need to get laser disc players still to watch my original theatrical box set. And you can also get stuff to adapt. So if you still have VHS and you no longer have the player, you can find, you could still find all of those resources to play them. I need to get a new VHS player because this one here, and if you guys know what I'm talking about, if you don't keep your VHS player clean and it gets dusty in there, it can eat up your VHS. And so I need a brand new one. Sometimes over time, they just start slowing down and it starts eating up the tape in there, and you don't want to destroy your beloved VHS. So I think I need to get a new one. And good morning, OG Star Wars. Good morning, good brother. Yes, good morning to you. Holocron Library Fox. Everybody bends the truth, even lies. The Sentinel. The light side ideally does it to tell the truth, while the dark side uses it to hide it. The fruits of their labor shall reveal their seed. There you go. And I have Pink Panther in here. How you doing, Pink Panther? Welcome to my channel. I was just gonna ask you about the quote, Laura. I can't wait to get it and use it for my video. Yeah, sorry about that. I'll get that to you. I had a busy weekend. If many of you guys follow me on Twitter, will know that I'm, returning back to dancing on the Powwow Trail, and my first competition was down at UCLA Powwow, and I took first in a dance off and second in my category. So that was so much fun. And so I didn't forget. I just have so much going on. I kind of forgot a little bit because my mind's here and there and everywhere. So so I'll get that to you. Diddley Squat says, was the very first movie I watched in the theater. So impressed. I wrote about at school and the teacher liked it. Awesome. I hear so many accounts of people writing about Star Wars, A New Hope, for a school assignment, whether it's about the movie or about the novel. Fun fact though, you guys, if you guys haven't heard me talk about this at all. So in the novel, Yoda's blue. So I'm talking about Empire Strikes Back. So a little bit of segue into Empire Strikes Back here, just a little. He's blue, not green. So there's a little difference in the novels. This is what happens when you have the novels published before the movies and you kind of change up the movies a little bit. So there is that. The Anonymous Gamer, do you mean the OT radio dramas that were mostly written by Brain Daily? Those were awesome and very well put together. So we have the radio dramas here. I know you can access them on YouTube. I think Audible has them as well. I do have the Audible Dark Empire radio drama. So I have that one. I don't have, I have some in Soul Session shared, but I have some of the OT radio dramas saved on my YouTube channel. Not on my YouTube channel, but I have it saved. So I can quickly access it if I need. Not quickly, but I can get to it easily. The Sentinel says that is correct. The novels are G canon. That's why Dark Lord should be considered G canon, as it is marketed as a sequel to Return of or Revenge of the Sith. Correct. And that's where those gray areas happen. That's where it happens. All right. So those who are coming in, one more time with the question: what does A New Hope mean to you? Whether you talk about a scene, or rather you talk about how it made you feel, or maybe you get a little philosophical. Yeah. I just butchered that word. Holy crap. But anyways, whatever it means to you, let me know in the comments and we'll move on here. We'll move on. And today I am doing Cringe Factor. So last week, if you joined me, it was CAF Chaff briefing. So it was less than an hour and just a quick topic, no Cringe Factor, talking the lore, talking with you guys, and that's it. So on those days I feel like I'm being rushed because there's an appointment or what have you, I will do a CAF Chaff briefing instead of saying that canceled. So I was thinking about, and that's where I would be. So if you see CAF Chaff briefing, that means we are having a short version of CAF Chat. So let's see here. I'm trying to look up something. I wish I just would have highlighted it beforehand, but I didn't because I was just going super slow this morning, just enjoying the morning. It's just one of those mornings where you just want to take it easy and just to go slow and steady and just you take in the morning, the nice sunlight, all of that. So I'm trying to find something here. So here's a fun fact here. And again, usually I put like a PowerPoint with fun facts or information, but I didn't do it. But May 1974, George Lucas completes a rough draft screenplay of Star Wars. Lucas consciously began reworking ideas he had for Apocalypse Now into the new project. So, fun thing here is that I have the George Lucas. Oh, you know what? Let me go run and get it. So let me go run and get it. I've been meaning to share this with you guys. So this is a great opportunity. I know exactly where it's at, but I have to run into my living room. So stay there. All right, you guys. Oh, I have a little bit of dogs out there by my house barking away. Darth Toby is laying down next to me on the table, and now he's up, like looking around, like what the hell's going on. All right, so this is what I got. So what I'm saying is that Apocalypse Now, George Lucas was thinking of making Star Wars, doing something to segue off of, I think it was American Graffiti. No. What one was it? Now I lost my point. Let's see. Let's see here. So he was thinking of reworking his ideas for Apocalypse Now into this new project. So being from, where his past works that he'd done before he began, a new began writing for, Star Wars and stuff like that. He kind of spun off of all the ideas that he had before, and then turning it into Star Wars. So we'll go more into that as we get closer to the end of the month when we talk about George Lucas. But this is what I got. So this thing is nice and heavy. So the Cinema of George Lucas here. So I've been going through this when I can. Look, we got little Anakin right there. And so this is very, very intriguing. It's very interesting because you get into his cinematography. There you go. And how he started off in the film, the film industry, what schools he went to for that, all of that, going into all the productions he did, including like American Graffiti, going into Star Wars and other little projects as well. So I can't wait to get into talking about George Moore at the end of the month. And then, so I don't know if you could see that, but like Star Wars by George Lucas. So something very fascinating. So if you really want to get into more about exploring George Lucas and his brilliance behind his company and who he worked with and stuff, I recommend this book. I recommend it. Let's see here. And I know I'm kind of late on all these comments here. Sorry about that. I like Star Wars shirt. Thank you so much. It's my New Hope one. Thank you. Okay, guys, y'all seen the thumb wars, right? Thank you for sharing. Let's see. This is a video disc that came out before DVDs. They are the size of vinyl records. Let's see here. The Last Jedi canonized ludicrous speed. There we go. And let's see here. Let me go ahead and scroll down. That t-shirt, I'm in love. Well, thank you so much. So am I. And hello to you, Jason. Hello to you. Okay, right. The mellow gravity well of a little star, that hyperspeed is like hitting a speed bump at 200 miles an hour. Let's see here. Subscribe to Iron Inquisitor. Okay, so I'm going to catch up on all the comments here. Oh boy. Here we go. OJ's left. So anyone seen a pot race? That was from last night on Dark Council. Fatal J, thank you so much. He was calling me OJ instead of OG. And then that all went downward there. So yeah, so the Bronco chase OJ had and all this other stuff was being talked about, all of that. And I'm like, you could probably see me. Like, if someone can make a video meme of me speeding in a Bronco away from Disney Star Wars, that'd be great. Diddley Squat says, to me, the first time was honestly breathtaking. The first shot left me speechless. I couldn't even process it. The Star Destroyer was going for so long at the screen, my little brain stopped working. Wow. And then the Empire of Dreams documentary. Yes, that's another good one. That's one that I personally downloaded on my channel. And then the Making of Star Wars. Yeah. So, yeah. So with A New Hope. So let me go back to what I was sharing with you. For the first time in the evolving story, the phrase, may the force be with you, is used. So when he was writing this and putting this together, May 1974, that's when he first wrote that down, and it stayed in the lore. It's been always been an iconic phrase, something that you cannot remake. Like, this is the way is not similar or even as iconic as may the force be with you, which of course is reminiscent of the more familiar may the force be with you used with the final film. Oh, okay. So I misread that. May the force of others be with you was the original one. See, I need to learn how to read. I need my glasses on, you guys. Should OG get some nice, like, big glasses, like, you know, school teacher glasses when I'm like sharing stuff like this with you guys? You know, maybe. And you know, like, I usually have my avatar for CAF chat. I didn't make my thumbnail. I'll make it later and put it up for the channel after this. But usually the avatar in my thumbnail, she has big red glasses. So maybe I'll get those red glasses and I'll wear them. And they'll be prescription type glasses so that I can read properly. Okay, so may the force of others be with you was the original. And I'll show this on Twitter. And then, which of course, reminiscent of the more familiar may the force be with you used in the final film. At this time, however, the force was not something that was defined and was merely used as a generic way of wishing someone good fortune. So what do you guys think about that? Like, how George's story evolved, how the force evolved, and what were your guys' thoughts when you learned about the force? So what was your guys' thoughts when you learned about the force watching A New Hope? So I want you guys to answer that, because I want to see, you know, out of all you guys that I communicate with or I'm barely getting to know, for new people popping on my channel, what was the force for you? Like, what was it like for you when you first learned about it in watching Star Wars A New Hope? So let me know. Let me know. So how was that? What was the force like for you? Let's see here. And Anonymous Gamer says, fun fact, there was a Star Wars disco album that was released by Mecco in October 1977. It was a compilation of Star Wars tracks that were made in the style of instrumental disco music. I don't remember that, but then again, I was so young. This is the way is officially Darmonda, correct? Let's see here. Get some glasses like the lady in the CAF chat thumbnail, perhaps. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking about. The big red glasses. Yeah. Curl my hair up a little bit. I usually curl my hair. Sometimes I'll get up and be like, okay, I'll do something with this here. I just put on light makeup today because I'm going to be busy. And, you know, part of me, if you guys know what I'm doing, I am doing beadwork. I do beadwork, we dance and stuff. So I've been putting together a set. So this will be the brow band like that when I'm done with it. So I've been busy putting together, making moccasins, leggings, all of that. Let's see here. I loved it. So I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Let's see here. The album was called Star Wars and Other Funk. Nice. I'm going to have to look that up. I'm pretty intrigued by that. Like, I don't remember what's over that one. Jackson says the Galactic Funk album. The Galactic Funk album. I can dig it. I can dig it. It was always hard to understand how the Force works, let alone explain. But simply put, Jedi and them really can do miracles. Yeah. So, what was the Force like? How did you feel when you first learned about the Force? What was it like for you? Like, did it like totally blow your mind? Were you intrigued and curious? Were you like you'd never seen something like that before? Maybe you've seen something similar, but not quite. So what was your perception of the Force when you first seen it? Soul Assassin Star Wars Disco TV special starring Mark Hamill. There we go. And and there you go. And then Galactic Funk album. So there you go. Thank you so much. So here you go, you guys. Here you go. So I'll put that fun fact about the Force on Twitter. If you follow me on my Twitter YouTube community page, it'll be there first. And then I'll share it here on the YouTube community page here on YouTube. So, and let me get back to that right there. Okay, so, and we all know that the original name for the protagonist was Starkiller. But the plot focus was on Starkiller, but he was a cyborg named Kane Starkiller, a Jedi Bendy master. So imagine that. So reading the early scripts and ideas of George Lucas, the early treatments, if he would have kept the cyborg character named Kane Starkiller, how different it may have been. So imagine that. So that's very interesting. Just imagine a plot focus on a cyborg named Kane Starkiller. And many of you guys may have known or heard me talk about this, but Han Solo, he was first a green alien. He wasn't human. He was a green alien. Let me go ahead and look up some more little fun facts for you guys here. And of course, we know about the concept art, and I like to share that. Concept art gave us a glimpse of what was to come with Star Wars and what George and his team of creators were focusing on what Star Wars was going to look like, which is as an artist, is very, very fascinating. I mean, you got to set up a believable world. So you got to set up these believable characters. And that was amazing. And once I get this panel together at the end of the month, we'll talk about Star Wars special editions versus original and stuff and go into that. We all have our thoughts and feelings about that. And I'd like to know what my panels, have further to say. You might have heard them say this before, but who knows? And it's always good to talk about that because George, as an artist, I understand an artist can go back and make some changes because maybe the type of media that he used wasn't up to par or up to what his standards, what he wanted. And but still, as a consumer and someone who gets attached to what was created before, and you have the feelings and thoughts and all that nostalgia that you accumulated with watching the originals, to see changes made, sometimes that will not be so pleasing, I guess you could say. And so we do have people who are more of the OT purists of liking the first published media of the movies versus the special editions. Batu says, I liked how the Phantom Menace tried to put science behind it with midichlorians, kind of like how Avatar did with the Na'vi and their forest spirit. And I didn't mind the midichlorians, and we'll get more into that too later. But I didn't mind them because it still didn't take away the mystery of the Force. It just showed how the Force was utilized in the body, I guess you can say. It didn't give away like exactly how the Force worked in each individual and why each individual had different levels of abilities. Like if you look at Corran Horn, he's not telepathic or telekinesis. There we go. That's a better one. And so he doesn't have that ability. He has other abilities but he doesn't have that basic standard one that a lot of people, like majority, do have in some level. And and then you have some people who can only force heal. And I'm not talking about the dyad bullshit. I'm talking about just in general. Some people are gifted with the talent of force healing, like full on force healing, and some aren't. Like you could see Seagull and Barris Offie, and they are the ones that are gifted to heal. And that's never told or explained, and I don't think it should be, on why and how people can be gifted with some abilities and some can't. So yeah. It's like we are watching all Kenobi students while watching A New Hope. Yeah. Let's see here. I thought Starkiller was originally named Bendak Starkiller. No, that's not what it says here, what I'm looking at. So yeah. And maybe there, like I said, I'm not going through all the evolution of the names of Starkiller and all of that. But yeah, so we know that George went through some many variations of the story before we got to what him and his team gave us for Star Wars A New Hope. Jason Fox says, when I got to see A New Hope as a child, the movie and the Force on screen was an incredible feeling, and the reason I wanted to become a writer and filmmaker, and also did get to bond with my dad. Though that's amazing. And thank you. And those who are channel members, thank you so much for taking the time each month to support the channel. If of course, all the subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing and coming to the chats and watching the videos as well. You guys are all amazing. Jason says, I got the comic of the Star Wars when you have Starkiller and Green Alien Solo, and the story was fun as fuck. Yeah, so there you go. Let's see here. I also have a pop figure of Han Solo with the lightsaber and the stuff from one of the concept, and used to have the toys also as a child. Oh God. Yeah, the original Han Solo with or the other Han Solo with the lightsaber. And then Soul Assassin, the Star Wars, taking a look at Lucas's original script. There you go. And always, like, these links, if you are currently watching on the replay and you're intrigued with what we're talking about and you're like, okay, so where are these sources at? Soul Assassin, the mod of the channel, is providing links to you, so you can always scroll in the chat, find these links, click on them. Maybe one day I'll take the time to go ahead and click on all of them and put them down in the descriptions, and so that you can go down in the description and take a look. And Rid Hoodwinked, hello, how are you doing? I can't remember my first thoughts on the Force. I'm pretty sure I thought it was cool, seeing as I grew up with the PT. I could really imagine a Star Wars piece of media without the Force. Correct. Even when you get into the individual series, like the X-Wing series that goes into basically space battles, and it's not even Jedi or Sith heavy or whatever you want to call that, and it focuses more on the pilots and stuff. There's a little bit about the Force because of Korn, but the story focus, the Force is always going to be a part of the galaxy because the Force is life, basically. So very interesting indeed with the concept that George created. Bendak Starkiller was KOTOR. Oh, there you go. See, I'm KOTOR, like the game and stuff, and some of that stuff I'm still I'm still learning about, because I didn't get to play games. Well, I wouldn't say didn't get, I wasn't told I couldn't, but life just had me, steered me in a different direction with gaming, so I'm not privy up on a lot of the Star Wars games. So that's my weakness. I do have my weakness, you guys. I do have my weakness. The Soul of the Sentinel says, yeah, it went from Luke Starkiller to Starkiller being a code name for the Force Unleashed. I didn't know that Bendak Starkiller was in KOTOR video game. I can barely get past the levels. The gameplay is annoying. I haven't began it. I just don't have time to play right now. The Anonymous Gamer says, never watched the Disney sequel trilogy. The only bad piece of Star Wars content I've watched was the original holiday special. Oh, good Lord. Watching that special was the worst 2 hours of my life. Me and my daughter tried to watch that, for like 2-3 years ago during the holidays. We couldn't get past it. Couldn't get past it. um, let's see here. Especially after watching Empire, with the way Yoda tried to explain it to Luke when he tried to lift his X-Wing out of water. Yes. And Soul Assassin, there is so much New Hope material. Yeah, so there we go. So let me go ahead and give you guys some more here, and then we are going to segue into Cringe Factor here. So this is going to be interesting. So I have asked you what Ralph McQuarrie material or concept art you liked on Twitter. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you may have seen that sometimes this last week. I have asked you guys on Twitter what you guys felt about Princess Leia, first time seeing her. I only had one response. So I'm going to throw out this question here, because the reason why I'm bringing up the female protagonist out of the big three is because over the past 10 years of the acquisition of Star Wars by Disney, they made it a campaign that basically there were no female leads in Star Wars. And then on top of that, that women were felt excluded from Star Wars as well. So they did this whole feminist approach that Star Wars, and they're still doing it today. I know recently we posted about something about Star Wars being patriarchal. They basically went down that road, patriarchal, right? So I want, since the majority of you guys here in my chat are men, I want to know what you guys felt about how you guys perceived or whatever, grew to love Princess Leia. When you first seen her in A New Hope, Star Wars A New Hope, what did you think of her? Like, and then as you watched her play out in the movies to the end, to the thrones, the award ceremony, what was your perception of her? I know that as the story went along and we got to know her a little bit more throughout all three movies, you know, you guys all have your opinions on her. But when you first seen Princess Leia, what did you think about her? What got you to like her? Just let me know in the comments. And then we're going to segue into Cringe Factor. Cringe Factor, there's two. One is about, and this is thanks to Soul Assassin, one is a ratings of the Star Wars movies, and then the Disney movies are included in it. And the other one is about Filoni's perception of Thrawn. So we'll get into those. So what did you think of Princess Leia in A New Hope? Cavatino Che is here, our cavalryman Che. Good day, everyone. Thinking about it now, comment about Han being a scruffy-looking nerf herder and Han saying, "Who's scruffy-looking?" makes sense as an inside joke about his original concept. There you go. There you go. Nice point. That's a nice little analogy on that. I like that. I haven't been in the community as much as since the icon was moved. Okay, let's see here. There are tons of female leads in Star Wars in films, books, and comics. Correct. 3K subscriber celebration with OG Star Wars and Slave Leia bikini. Well, I have to get. I'm hoping to cosplay at the end of the month, so stay tuned for that. I have to get that. I haven't decided what yet, but we'll see. From what I recall of the old EU, there were plenty of interesting female characters, especially Mara Jade, among many others. Yeah, but we're talking about now, Star Wars A New Hope, the very first OG female protagonist, Princess Leia. So what did you think about her? First time I saw her, I loved her and the way she was, and for some reason, she did remind me of my great-grandmother in the way she did act. A good, strong, amazing woman. There you go. And George, there's some interesting information that he shares about Leia, about how he didn't have many women in Star Wars and how he made Leia the way she is. So I will share that here sometimes this week, since we're, this can be added on any part of these appreciation weeks, because, going into Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, because it's all relative. It's all relevant. Diddly squat. I loved Leia. She was funny and had a great dynamic with the other characters, specifically with Han and Luke. I never saw her as feminist idol, just a fun and entertaining character. Correct. And then Jackson, hey lady, you call him Dr. Jones. Mr. Jones. All right. Yeah, so keep sharing. We're going to start segueing into these articles here. So, but I want to know, give you a couple more minutes. What did you like about Princess Leia? What was your first thought of her, meeting her on screen? Soul Assassin, I mean, Princess Leia got the first kill in the film. The stormtrooper wasn't gonna hurt her, and she blew him away. Correct. Oh, just imagine that. Strong female lead like that. George set that up. The protagonist in itself, he already set up the formula, and then it got screwed. So there you go. All right. So let's go ahead and start segueing. Still share your comments on Princess Leia. Feel free to still share that. But we are going to segue into Cringe Factor.
So uncivilized.
Now, thank you, Soul Assassin, for this. This is from Deadline. I'm going to switch the view here. I'll give it a full screen. No, not me. It. There you go. So this is from Deadline here. And this is regarding May the 4th be with you. So, of course, when this was written. And I don't follow that. That was something that was brought up back in the 1970s, I believe, like 78, in a campaign. And then the fans kind of stayed with it. And then it wasn't really predominant until recently. So Disney really stuck with it and used it as a marketing tool, to where when they first started using it as a marketing tool, if you used it, they were basically prohibiting you from using it. I remember that. If you guys remember that, some time ago, they were, any content that you did with May the Force be with you, they were basically taking down that statement and all this other stuff. So yeah, so they were giving you copyrights on that and against that. But we're going to have fun with this. The next one is about what Filoni says about Thrawn. So that's going to be an interesting one there in itself. So here we go, you guys. Since we were talking about the movies, the beloved movies, so she had New Hope, excuse me, we will discuss, we will discuss this, the placing, and, of course, they have the Disney version in here too, the Disney versions. So let's get into this. And first of all, if you're still answering about Princess Leia, feel free to do that. If you want to rank the movies and how you see them, 1 through 6, feel free to do that. Share it in the chat. So let me go ahead and pull the screen up on my end. Star Wars movies. So Star Wars George Lucas movies versus Disney, ranked from worst to best. So here we go. So we had the very last one, of course, Solo: A Star Wars Story. And that one right there, from its production and stuff like that, and rewriting the majority, like, 3/4 of it, and getting it produced, it wasn't very favorable. You could say that, the Last Jedi was probably had something to do with how people perceived it. Who knows? So here's number 11. In my ranking, I would not even rank this because now I'm going to lose my voice, because I don't consider this as part of the saga. Now, number 10, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So he does leave explanations, and let's see who wrote this article. This is by Scott Shillstone. That's interesting. Scott Shillstone for the win. All right. So number 10, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Director George Lucas starring Ewan McGregor, Liam Neeson, and Natalie Portman. Two Jedi, and you're forgetting about Jake Lloyd. Two Jedi escape a hostile blockade. Gives a little bit of information here. It came across a young boy who may bring balance to the Force. As the long dormant Sith resurface. So they really don't give an explanation to why this is ranking 10 in their timeline. So please share in the chat what you're ranking with all the movies, all the original movies. Now for me, I really liked Star Wars Episode 1 because it gave us a setup, a glimpse into what's to come. And for me, it set up everything, in the Star Wars saga in itself. And mind you, Star Wars saga, it's always been called Star Wars saga until recently. So it set up the Star Wars saga in general. There are debates that and I've been in these debates with these people that Anakin should have been older, but then that goes away from, like, even 9 years old at the time was too old to bring in as apprentice. If he was a teenager, then that would really go against the Jedi at the time when it came, the time frame of training. So let's go to number 9. Number nine, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So a lot of these prequels are at the end of the ranking here for this Shillstone. And my guess is maybe he's not a prequel liker, which usually is the case. Now, people can't distinguish between hating of a series versus hating of a character. You can hate a character in a show, but still love the show. And so again, he doesn't tell reason why here. Just to give us a quick synopsis of the movie, like 10 years after meeting, Anakin Skywalker shares a forbidden romance with Padme, blah, 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 blah. We already know that. But interesting enough, this is where it kind of gets cringy here, and it's going to get even more cringy as we go along. Number 8, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. This is my second favorite. My first is Return of the Jedi. I'm very different with this order, and I'll share my list, my ranking here soon. But number 8 for Revenge of the Sith. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Yeah, this is like the first, like this is the top out of all PT that he ranked, but it's still number 8. The Last Jedi is not even comparable to this. I just can't believe that. I got to see what you guys are saying in the chat. I do. So let me go ahead and switch windows real quick. Let's see here. When Sheila's in your name, laugh out loud, right? And please hit the like button. And then Batu says, how dare they put The Phantom Menace, the first one I saw in the theaters, made me a fan for life. Solo, what a bunch of gas-headed... I can't help it. This makes me laugh. Phillicent. Let's see here. And Daily Squat, I honestly can't rank the original 6. My opinion on them keeps changing, but I love them all. The first Star Wars movie I disliked was the Clone Wars. Awful. Yeah. Why is 3 that low? I don't know. This list is cringe as fuck. I told you. We're going into Cringe Factor. All right. So this right here, no. All right. And then here we go. So Rise of Skywalker is ranked higher than Revenge of the Sith. It's ranked higher than the prequel trilogy. What the hell? This right here destroys this right here. She is now what they would consider the chosen one than Anakin. Just think about this. Shillstone? Yeah. So number 7, Star Wars, The Rise of Palpatine. And then we had number 6, Rogue One, which I'm not a fan of. This really takes away from Dark Forces and the arc from that. And then even the stories from Han Solo trilogy with Bria Theron. And there was like a few different plans of the Death Star that was being stolen, because the Empire was smart enough to keep the analytic plans, like the different variants of plans, separate from each other, so that if the rebellion tried to steal them, they wouldn't have the complete plans. But instead, here they keep it all in one place. But then it's then again destroyed. Whatever, whatever. But no, this right here being higher ranked than Revenge of the Sith, no way. And then, of course, Return of the Jedi. Now, I already clearly stated my very number one favorite is Return of the Jedi. Second is Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, this right here, okay, well, maybe in itself it's ranked properly. Who knows? Everybody's going to have their own opinion. So we have number 5 outranking this and the Rise of Palpatine, and then even Solo, which I agree with. And then The Force Awakens? No. The Force Awakens is basically what you would call a soft reboot of A New Hope. So the storyline, beat by beat, is very, very similar. Plot points are very, very similar. I would rank this towards the end. This is the beginning of the fall of the Star Wars franchise, although I do consider the tossing of the EU for lore-wise and world-building-wise, that is the evidence of when they started going downhill. Let's see here. And of course, number 3, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, this right here is where we see the demise of Luke Skywalker. And this right here, again, I would never rank it because this is to me, it's blasphemy. This is Disney Star Wars. It's not original Star Wars. Even with George putting in one of his original thoughts or plans for Luke Skywalker going into sabbatical, this totally goes against that. So number 3, who would have thought? But you could tell Shieldstone is a shield for this. And then number 2, of course, is Empire Strikes Back, which is reasonable. There's a lot more fans that I've talked to that would rank Empire Strikes Back as the best out of all 6, and that's fair. And so we have this as number 2. So then we can come to the conclusion of what is number 1, the original for Shieldstone. Original 1, which we're talking about today for CAF Chat, Star Wars A New Hope. A New Hope. This is the very thing that got all of us into Star Wars, got all of us into being maybe EU elitists, hardcore fans, whatever you want to associate yourself as. This is the one that got us further into the lore. Got us further intrigued to see what happens next. The top 3 here with the leading lady in the middle as well, Leia. So what would you rank? So this is Shield. Yes, I know this is Shield. Kind of give you kind of a big cringe on the placement of some of these movies compared to others. And thank you, Soul Assassins. Yeah, so let me see what you guys have to say. And it says, and we haven't even seen The Last Jedi up here yet. Yep, number 3. And Rise of Skywalker, Rise of Palpatine was just a bullet to put us out of the sequel freaking misery. Oh my gosh, Rogue One is better than 3? I can't even. I know, right? Shieldstone really just, shared the quality of his name, maybe. I don't know. Only thing I liked about Rogue One is the Rebel soldiers' outfits. It's Scarif battle. They seemed pretty cool. Okay, fair enough. Well, at least The Last Jedi isn't number 1. I'll give them that. But that's top 3. I made fun of Rogue One for the entire movie. It was there with 2 friends. Me and the other guys were pointing out all the things they stole from the EU while the girl was just cringing non-stop. Wow, I just can't imagine. It's between Empire Revenge for the best film. For you, Soul Assassin, that's fair enough. Yeah. Let's see here. Frack, The Last Jedi. The only thing that movie showed us is the real Luke got effed up. Got F like B. Tried to censor myself, but I can't put it in any more delicately there differently. I get it. So here we go. So Soul Assassin, he's like, here you go. You may need a drink for this, blah, 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 blah. And shared this with me. So I thought this would be something to cringe and laugh at, and then share, since we're talking about the movie, share exactly like, you guys could share your own personal ranking of the show, of your movies, what you like. Let's see here. So what are your rankings? Share in the comments below. What are your rankings? How would you rank the saga for yourself? What's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth for yourself? And if you want to, you can add like the Clone Wars 03 and maybe like the Ewok movies, the cartoons, or what have you. So what is your ranking? Sometimes with me, it's hard for me to rank the EU because there may be times where my favorite will change because maybe I'm rereading it or what have you. But there's so many good stories. And yeah, there are some stories that I really don't favor as well. And that's fine. That is fine. So what is your ranking with the Star Wars saga? Your Star Wars smarts makes you hot alone. Alone love this show. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So now we're going to go on to this. So this is the second part of Cringe Factor. So we're kind of steering away from the movies now, going into a production that is coming up of the Ahsoka series. And let me go ahead and scroll this better so you guys can see what the title is. So this is by Kevin Erdmann. So we go from Mr. Shieldstone to Erdmann. The Mandalorian movie director on why Thrawn is so different to Palpatine and Vader. So we already probably know why he's different. But does Filoni know why he's different? Has he proven that he can make him as intended by Tim? We already, like, some of you guys may have seen the Rebels Thrawn. I've watched that episode because I was doing research and I'm like, here I go. I'm going in. And I watched that episode and that was so bad how Filoni portrayed Thrawn. So will he do a good job here? Only time will tell. But then again, the Thrawn of Disney is not the Thrawn of the original lore. So you got to make that distinctive difference. They're not the same. Look at the face. They're not even the same with the facial features. Original Thrawn did not have the iris and all that in the eye. He didn't have this big, huge, like, brow definition, forehead definition, brow definition, as you see right here. He didn't look too sucked up in the face like a moth, like Tarkin or whatever. So it's just, he is distinctively different, even in features. I did make a compare and contrast video regarding it. And so we'll talk about this. But let me go ahead and see what you have to say. So Star Wars Squawk Box says 5, 4, 6, 3, 1. Clone Wars Cartoon Rebels, Mando, Rogue One, Han Solo 2, 7. Okay, so we're not really necessarily talking about Disney Star Wars, but thank you for sharing your ranking all across all the Star Wars media, I guess you can say, both Disney and Lucas. And then talk about that awful Rogue One. Did you even read Darth Troopers by Joe Scriber? Yes. Yes. We did. I did have a literature review on it. So there is that. And I hope to bring literature review back, but I might just do that individually. But I do like, maybe I'll just bring one person on. So like someone that may be a different view than me, so that you can have a different, you can see different in here, different viewpoints and not just my take. Hit those like buttons, please. Thank you so much. And then let's see here. Red Hood Wink says 6, 3, 5, 4, 1, and 2. I need to catch up on EU before I start ranking them. Yeah, it's all good. It's no worries here because we did use Cringe Factor article that ranked the movies and stuff on top of that. Um, hashtag Ahsoka died in Order 66. Hey, Crimson Mist, how you doing? And prequels 1, 2, 3. OT 1, 2, 3. So am I okay? Let me reread that. Prequels: Revenge of the Sith, The Phantom Menace, and Attack of the Clone. OT Empire Return and New Hope. I just totally picked that up. And Diddy Squat says, "I'll go check it later. Then I liked it, but I wasn't sure about the ending. Seemed too convenient." And let's see, Robinus Prime, what's up? Hey, hi OG. When will you interview Ryan Kennel, RK Outpost? I would love to do that soon for Talking EU. I know he's extremely busy, so I might have to schedule him probably further out, which is fine. I haven't had a chance to sit and schedule people yet for this coming month for May, but I think I'll continue it back next month. So stay tuned. Solo, a Star Wars story, is the worst and only like the Emilia Clarke's character Kira, because in my headcanon she was supposed to be Rey's mother. Unfortunately, KK fucked it up. So it's your headcanon that she's supposed to be Rey's mother. That's interesting. Literature review, Death Troopers. Thank you so much. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. At least you're here with us. No, you don't have to redo your list on unless you feel like you want to. No worries. Are you Jin in Chris Gore's Critic Court? I don't know. All right. I'm like, what? All right. So let's go on. So the Mandalorian director Filoni has recently pointed out the key ways in which Grand Admiral Thrawn will be different from Star Wars' other big bads. Well, first of all, he's making it sound like this is something new. No, it's not. We already knew that in the original lore. But then we also knew how similar he was to, in a sense. He did go with cloning just like Palpatine did. He did want to rule the galaxy just like Palpatine did. And so I'll just leave it at that for now. Now, if you're familiar with Outbound Flight, Thrawn Trilogy, The Hand of Thrawn duology, and maybe even Survivor's Quest, you'll get a little bit more history of the Chiss, of Thrawn, what his focus was. You'll get more of the Fowls because the Fowls were basically raised on Chisella and a part of the Chiss ascendancy as well. And so intriguing stories in there whatsoever. And look, I don't know why his lips look tan like a human's lip. They should still be blue. That looks very odd. Look at that. As if he's got himself painted, but his lips are that color. That is weird. His lips, and then under his eyes kind of have a different color because of the eyes that are kind of glowing, I guess. But the lips, why are they making the choice of making it flesh color, like human flesh color, when it should be a shade of blue? That's weird. Anyways, that's just my artist perspective looking at that. So let's get this show started. The Mandalorian's movie director has confirmed what sets Grand Admiral Thrawn apart from other big villains in the Star Wars galaxy. A ruthless Imperial strategist, Grand Admiral Thrawn was a key character in the old expanded universe who made his way into Star Wars canon and Star Wars Rebels. So that's exactly where we, the starting point for him. And then Zahn was brought back to write the character and new trilogies and stuff. I'm not going to go into some political aspects with Timothy Zahn regarding the EU. I've said enough with it, and maybe I'll do another video on that once this Thrawn starts coming out, and do a little bit more research on how Zahn changed his mind with the EU and all this stuff. Speaking to Empire Magazine about the future of Star Wars Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni discussed Thrawn's history in the old Star Wars expanded universe. But the thing is, I question, does he really understand what goes on in there? Because when he brings stuff in, he changes it, or he doesn't understand it, or he doesn't do his research. Although Zahn's original books are now considered, they can think that they're considered non-canon, but they are still canon to the movies. And and you can't declare what's canon or not. Only the original creator can within his story. And so I will just leave it at that. Filoni is determined to honor them with their portrayal of Thrawn, as he explained. So this is what he has to say here. Now tell me in the comments below, what did you love about Thrawn, reading about him in the original lore? What did you see within Thrawn's characteristics, how similar he could be to Palpatine, maybe not Vader, then and then what are the differences, from him? Because every villain is going to be different from the next. Even Vader is different in a sense than Palpatine. We can get into the dynamics of that. All right, so this is what Filoni said. Thrawn became this very iconic villain because he was different than anything we'd seen before. Well, you could say Tarkin, too, was very ambitious. Again, you can compare all these villains together and point out similarities and differences. He wasn't another helmet-wearing, lightsaber-wielding bad guy. Well, neither was Tarkin. And neither, you could say even the Emperor really didn't wield a lightsaber after he declared himself the Empire and basically created the Empire, right? And so he declared himself Imperial, the Emperor, not Empire. Yeah, excuse-moi. There's a lot of pull to make characters that are like Vader because it's so iconic. So are they saying like Moff Gideon is like Vader, but yet he's not, because he doesn't wield a lightsaber? Is he power hungry? Yes, he is, just like every villain is. Thrawn, you could say, is power hungry too. Motives may be slightly different, but he still wants to rule. He still wants control. He still wants to destroy anything that's going to get in the way. But the boldness that Tim had was to make somebody that wasn't like that didn't have those abilities, but could fight in a different way. He was still fighting in the same way, if you want to go into technicalities of that. He was still uniting the Empire, the Imperial remnant. He was building the fleet, just like Palpatine was building the fleet in the PT, because Palpatine did orchestrate both sides of the war, right? So he was building his army, he was building his navy, I guess you can say. So by the time he became the Emperor, he had all that orchestrated. All Thrawn was doing was cleaning up and reforming the Empire and destroying the New Republic because they were in the way. So there's the similarities right there. And was Sidious strategic? Hell yeah, he was, but he had the Force too. Was he a step ahead? Hell yeah, he was. We've seen that in the PT. So was Thrawn. Thrawn was a step ahead. He didn't have the Force. Sidious did. But their ideals were very much similar. That's why Sidious liked Thrawn. That's why he gave him a pass. Because Thrawn's an alien. We knew that the Emperor was xenophobic to a point, unless those alien species served him in any which way. There's exception to the rules. That I would say that's an exception to the rule. So let me see what you guys have to say on this so far. Let's see here. Oh, you guys are talking amongst each other. Let's see here. Let's see here. All right, so let me know what you think about that. Let me see here. Let's see. Tarkin was awesome as well. Wish we could get more of him in live action. Let's see here. I thought Thrawn, I know you meant to say Thrawn, was better villain than Pelp. There you go. I have to watch it, but there's a new episode up from that series that Darth Angelus is doing. Let's see here. And I do have a Star Wars. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. And you guys, I am setting up my webinar thing for StreamYards here so that we can watch Clone Wars 03 together. So stay tuned for that. Let's see. Could do a CAF chat in all the Star Wars knockoffs from films that came out after the movie. Yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. Thank you so much. And Matt G with his coffees here. George's one day, hope one day George's treatments with the wills becomes available for us to read. Yeah, I would love to see that. Y'all want to see some crazy Star Wars? Watch Turkish and Brazilian Star Wars. They're amazing. He's laughing. I would love to see that. Feel free to share that. Wookiee movies are ranked ahead of the sequel trilogy for me. Cool. And then Crimson says, I will catch up on the replay. Thank you so much. And thank you again for becoming a channel member, though. Let me get back into this. So please share what your thoughts about Thrawn here. Do you think that Filoni's right on? But do you think that he characterized Thrawn in Rebels well? So let me know. Filoni goes on to share that Thrawn's cunning mind and genius as a military tactician is what truly sets him apart, rather than having a lightsaber or force abilities as seen with Vader and Palpatine. Well, because they had that doesn't mean that they weren't strategic, because we've seen how strategic Sidious was in the PT. We see how strategic Vader is in the OT and then even in the EU. Because Vader had training, basically military training, or experience in the Clone Wars. And then Vader also was a step ahead too a lot of times. So there's similarities and there are differences in between all of these villains. Each one has their unique purpose, and each one, has their unique differences and similarities. So that's my point here. So, if you want to analyze this between them, get further into it, which I think Filoni fails at. I don't think he's a very good analytic type of person when being a storyteller, as well as you've seen in the productions that he's done with Favreau. It's like his story arc, his story, how he writes his stories is still hearkened to how he wrote the Clone Wars. It's still, I wouldn't say immature, but his writing is basically for animation, which is different. But then again, we did hear, that he had training with Rian Johnson on filming, but that doesn't mean it's story, because we even seen Rian Johnson admit that he's not a good storyteller. He's not a good writer. He admitted that on screen. He admitted it on a video. So then again, so that doesn't, so if Filoni got some writing tips for movie-wise, story-wise from Rian Johnson, which we don't know. I'm not saying he did. I am, doing a theory here. Then he's going to fail on that end too, because even Rian Johnson says that he's not a good writer, so here we go. But with the Rebels, they absolutely turned the strategic mastermind into a cuck. And I'm just going to say it simply just like that. And why am I coming to this conclusion? Well, when you get into Thrawn's history, his background, part of his mission to be a part of the Empire was to also protect the galaxy, in a sense, if you want to go that way. There's a hidden purpose, basically. Although he is a villain, he has the same machinations as Palpatine, all of that. But of course, the far outsiders, the threat of the unknown regions, basically the Vong, if you want to go down that path. He was using all means to protect his people, and I guess you could say the galaxy, because they would be going through his section of the galaxy and the unknown regions before they fully come into the galaxy, right? But he to protect. And so because he was privy on all the threats in the unknown regions that can come and threat the galaxy as a whole, you would think that Thrawn of Rebels of Disney lore would be prepared for a simple space squid with tentacles or whatever the hell they are. I think they're called Purgles. That he would be privy to those and he would be armed against them if one tries to attack the ship. Because he's always a step ahead. Now, people have compared, well, he didn't know Rook was going to get him. That was in the heat of the moment. That was whatever. But these are creatures that are known to the galaxy, should be known to him. Versus Rook and his species were all conditioned to serve. They had a hold on him. They didn't know that Leia basically outed the Empire to the treatment of to Rook and his people. But these Purgles, they're a threat. Everybody in the galaxy probably should know about them and probably should be armed if they came out of hyperspace and attacked your ship. So that did make sense. For Thrawn to be as strategic as he is, even against threats like that, he should have known. And he should have been armed. And that's where I think that was a failure of Filoni towards Thrawn. But then another part was how he reacted on that planet. I don't remember the planet, but the Bindu was there and they were fighting, and how rash he was, how quickly he lost his nerve in that. Because I did watch the episode, I just don't remember like the planet they were on when they were facing the Bindu character or whatever he is. So basically that too shared how you seen Thrawn of the original lore lose his wits in Rebels. We've never seen Thrawn lose his wits in the original lore. Did he concede when he lost? Yes, he did. But he gathered up his forces and regrouped. We have May lost his battle, but not the war. But with that in Rebels, no, you see him just like basically all his intelligence, his strategic planning, all just unraveled in that. So where do you think this is going to go with this Thrawn here that's being written for Ahsoka? Eventually he's going to have to die. Now, is this going to be an adaptation of Heir to the Empire? Not really, because none of it, if you can't even have the same protagonists, it's not the same story. Rook's not even alive. Rook's dead. It's not the same story. But he has to die, because by the time they get to the Disney trilogy, he's gone. Now, is he probably going to help set up the First Order? Who knows? But he's always been on Palpatine's side. Who knows? And I'm not going to go into all these what ifs or whatever, but I'm just leaving some seeds out there for you guys to think about and analyze further as the show comes to its first screening of the first episode. Think about it. How bad Filoni written him for Rebels is a glimpse. This show for Ahsoka is just a sequel to Rebels. It's a continuation. So if he written and his team written Thrawn the way it was written in Rebels, just imagine the Thrawn in Ahsoka. Just imagine that. Let's see what you have to say. Filoni only got lucky because his buddy Chris Prynoski recommended him for TCW after Filoni explained to him the prequels, because Prynoski didn't get them when he saw them. The thing is that the Thrawn wasn't always right, because no strategic could ever aspire to be predict every single event, but he was still a formidable man. In Disney canon, he's at times dim-witted. Yeah, there you go. If Filoni trained under Rian Johnson, no wonder his storytelling is inconsistent and nonsensical. Well, it was way before then. Like TCW, you can put those inconsistent and nonsensical points for that. He couldn't pull a good story out of his a wet brown paper bag. Seems like Thrawn was pulling a Revan move and conquering to prepare the galaxy for a bigger threat with the Vong. What the full potential? We already saw that in Thrawn Trilogy and Outbound Flight. What are they talking about? Filoni doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He's already just telling what has already been written. And then he's applying it to the story he wants to write, but then he already showed he couldn't write a good Thrawn. You can't really write people who are smarter and wiser than you. The writers reveal their own insufficiencies. Let's see here. Filoni doesn't even remember his own stories. Immature seems fitting to a degree. Correct. You are precise on that. He doesn't remember his own stories. He's contradicting his own storylines many times. Please, Filoni can't get Star Wars right, even when he's goading Lucas are the movies, quoting Lucas are the movies. Even Favreau gets them better than him. And I see Favreau just as I see Filoni in a sense, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Lady of Iron, didn't Disney also change the chiss as well from what I've heard? Yes, they did. So the chiss are very different between lores. Let me see here. Can't remember if was considered a Night Sister in Battle of Endor though. Oh, I have to read up here. Let me see. Let me read here. Ewok, the Battle of Endor is fantastic. First canonical appearance of the Force Witch in live action, I believe. Can't remember if it was considered a Night Sister in Battle of Endor though. I'll have to look that up too, because I've heard other people say that and I just haven't researched it. It's been a while since I've watched that. So there we go. And then both sad and infuriating, really. OG, what's your favorite Disney Star Wars movie? I don't have one. All right, let me see what you guys have to say. I know someone else. Okay, let me get back to this comment here. Not comment, but the article. Filoni also confirmed Thrawn's critical role during the time period, the New Republic. His ability to outthink his opponents and prepare counter-offenses before they've even thought about attacking makes them quite the dynamic and dangerous villain. So one example that he did not outthink and wit his opponents was the Bill Bringy, I think. No, I don't think it was. But it was at the end of the Thrawn trilogy. And he had raided Lando's mining facility, took the mole miners, and was using that to take I don't think it was Bill Bringy, but anyways, take them and to steal the ships from the shipyard there. And after Luke and Han left Merker, they were taking Lando there to get medical aid and to stop in. And so Thrawn didn't plan on them being there. He did not plan on them. In fact, he didn't even know that Luke was at being hidden. He suspected, but he didn't know. So he wasn't always a step ahead, just like you guys said in the chat. He was not always a step ahead. And if he was always a step ahead, he would have, thought about, oh, well, maybe Lando's on the ship and he knows how to counter the mole miners from stealing the ships and reprogram them, or say the code to have them stop or whatever, or take back control, I guess you could say. So, so he didn't see that. Is he a dynamic and dangerous villain? Yes, he is. And then he goes on to say, Thrawn intends to lead the Imperial Remnant with increased military might, playing to his strengths as seen in Rebels. When, again, he seems to fall apart in Rebels in a way. So, which Filoni highlighted in his interview. Likewise, a trailer for Ahsoka saw the tutelar former Jedi referring to Thrawn as heir to the Empire, clearly referencing, or a clear reference to the aforementioned book trilogy and first novel where he made his first appearance. Yeah, and that's what I said. That's all of that is a callback. It doesn't mean that the story is heir to the Empire. Any rate, it's evident that Filoni wants the live action Thrawn to maintain the core of his character. Well, he couldn't even maintain his core of the character in Rebels. He's a villain who operates much differently from Vader and Palpatine. I pointed out that they're very similar in how they operate. If you're privy to the EU, you would know that there's similarities, both of whom are Sith Lords, and being a Sith Lord or a Chiss or whatever doesn't really make you more or less more intelligent, strategic than the other. And while the resources of the Imperial Remnant will be all Thrawn has, well, that's basically what the original Thrawn had. However, if you go into the Disney lore, a lot of the Remnant's resources were destroyed when Palpatine enacted some kind of code that made them destruct, in a sense. So we'll see how that happens. We'll see if Filoni keeps to the lore or not, which he doesn't. So you'll see. I'll see with reviews when it comes out. It seems that all he'll need leading up to the Mandalorian movie is Star Wars near future. So there you go. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think Filoni is right on? Do you think he's going to get him right? Are you excited for this? I'm not. It's like, I will just go back and read the books or listen to the Audible, and any short stories that are pertaining to Thrawn, all of that, then worry about what Filoni's doing, because Filoni has a history of taking something and fucking it up. And thank you so much. Check out merch. Let's see here. They also messed up Ventress, who was formerly Rat-Attack, yes, in the Clone Wars, and altered her birthplace Dathomir and her species Dathomirian. Correct. Let's see here. So what do you guys think? It's going to be a continue annihilation. I know there was an interview with Thrawn, or Timothy Zahn, that said that he spoke with Filoni to make sure that Filoni is going to keep into character with Thrawn. I have to find it, but I know that there was an article saying in the past, when it came to Rebels, that he wasn't too keen. Timothy Zahn wasn't too keen on how Filoni written Thrawn in Rebels. And then he walked that back like a year or so later. So I want to find that article again, and I want to do a new video on that and post it here on Timothy Zahn's change of opinion about how Filoni written Thrawn, going from him not really caring for it to him liking it, now him talking to make sure Filoni writes him correctly. So there's that back and forth that I want to reveal. So stay tuned for that. I got to do some further research. Hopefully by within the month, I will have something and have that up for you guys. So thank you guys. This is Cringe Factor. Not too much, not too cringy. I guess you could say, but something to think about. Let's see here. The interview with Zahn I sent you, he says it all. Okay, I haven't had a fully chance to read it all, so I will go back. I know, Soul Assassin's like, woman, I sent you some information already. Get your ass in there and read it. I will check it out. I've been, like I said, I've been beating so much. Let me go ahead and put my screen back up and take this down. So I've been beating so much, getting my daughter ready for dancing on the powwow trail. She does have a beaded set, but I'm making a new one for her. The other one she had since she was just little still fits her though in a way. So doing something like that. These are leggings. They'll go around the calves, zip up, and all that. So I haven't been doing much production as of lately for the channel because of that. So I apologize, but we are here for CAF Chat. As long as I keep this running, keep interacting with you guys and talking about Star Wars on all my platforms, it's a go. So there we go. But I thought I'd make you laugh, Soul Assassin. Thrawn and Disney is effing joke, correct. They'll be calling the Mando movie The Last Command. Mark my words. Nope, Thrawn will be half-baked and treated as a Saturday. And see, you can't really, for Filoni's history, no one can outsmart Ahsoka. Look how he cooked Maul. So like Red Hook, it says, Thrawn will be half-baked and treated as a Saturday morning cartoon villain like all other villains under his direction. Correct. Cool. All right. And then Disney's live-action Thrawn looks like Data has joined the Blue Man Group. I know. I've been watching everybody's response on that. That's hilarious. And that's a lot of beads. Yes, it is. So let's go ahead and start concluding this episode of CAF Chat. I'm going to go back to this month's schedule. May's schedule basically is about Star Wars appreciation. So we are ending the first week, A New Hope. So if there's anything else you want to share about A New Hope on Twitter, feel free to share that and tag me to it. We are beginning tomorrow, Empire Strikes Back. And that will go up until the 18th. So CAF Chat next week will have a focus of Empire Strikes Back. May 19th to the 25th, Return of the Jedi. Of course, the 25th is, Star Wars A New Hope anniversary and also Return of the Jedi. There's a couple other films or whatever. But yeah, so we'll discuss that. Hopefully I can cosplay maybe Leia for that one. So I'm, trying to get that all set up for you guys. So stay tuned for that. And then May 26th through the 31st, George Lucas PT and Expanded Universe. And then again, at the end of the month, I will have a special live stream. So stay tuned for that, my friends. And thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate every single one of you. And also the new channel member. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. I just appreciate you all, subscribers to channel members. Stay tuned for viewing of the Clone Wars 03. If you haven't become a channel member, please feel free to do that. And thank you again so much. And I'm going to go ahead and play a commercial and we're going to end this. So may the force be with you, and I will chat with you guys on Twitter.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
And one more thing, tomorrow night, spacing at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Catch us there, and talk to you guys later.
An elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
Another happy landing.